want to spend the next few minutes giving you a demo and explaining what is at-risk for high school educators and how it works. In general, this is an online interactive training, which is, as Melanie mentioned, one of the challenges and the needs of training like this is for it to be available at the convenience of the learner. This is, in particular, as you can see here in the snapshot, and I'll show you an example later on, allows you to engage in a conversation with a student avatar so that you can really learn how to best manage those conversations that can be very challenging and difficult. This is a program that has been listed on SPRC Best Practices Registry. It's also under review by SAMHSA for evidence-based program, and I'll show you the results of the study that was conducted to show that. And we're very excited to have New York do a widespread adoption, which has already been done in a similar scope in Texas before. And you can see a few other states that are planning on rolling this out to their high school educators. This program has been out for about a year now, so we have a lot of data and experience in rolling it out. For those of you who know our company, know that this is really part of a series of suicide prevention and gatekeeper training programs that we have been developing over the last few years. You can see a few snapshots on the screen of training for university faculty and students that is being currently used by over 100 colleges. On the lower right corner, a new program that we launched for families of returning veterans to help them know when their veterans showing signs of post-deployment stress. It's a program that has been adopted by the VA of New York, New Jersey to train almost 1 million family members here in the area. And more recently, we have launched one for ER personnel. So we have a lot of experience in developing this, and the high school, I think, is a great showcase of what this technology can do. Specifically about the high school, in terms of learning objective, what do we want you as an educator to know? So first of all, we want you to learn how to recognize the common signs of psychological distress, which includes suicide, includes depression, anxiety. We want you to know how to, once you recognize, how to manage a conversation, how to approach the student to discuss your concern, and effectively be able to motivate them to seek help. How do you refer them to the school counselor? How do you bring up that sensitive issue in a way that's not going to make them run away, but make them want to listen and understand that there is a need for them to seek help? The last thing is that we want you to learn how counseling can really assist students. As we were doing focus groups on this as part of development, it was obvious that a lot of educators don't really understand what happens when the student is being referred, what are the success rates of counseling, what do they actually do to help the student. So it's important for us to include that information in the training. Now, in the training itself, as I mentioned, what's unique about it is the conversation. I will show you how this works, but the main idea here is that you assume a role of a teacher, and you will engage in conversations with 3 students, and you will learn a lot of tactics that are really coming from motivational interviewing that has been shown to work on how you broach the topic, how do you motivate students, and how to avoid common pitfalls, such as attempting to diagnose what they have or just giving them unwarranted advice. The first thing that you do in this training, and I'll show you just a few snapshots before I open this up and go through it, is that you meet your Jackie Torres. Jackie Torres is a child psychologist who will kind of guide you and give you feedback throughout the training. Then you have a chance to really start looking at the profiles of the 3 students that we included. So here it's just a little bit about them. A lot of thought went into choosing their profiles and specifically the symptoms that they show. But just to give you a quick overview, we have 3 of them, as I said, Renee, Roberto, and Joey. Renee, which I'll show you the conversation with her, suffers from anxiety. She's a very motivated student. She's stressed about grades. There's some evidence of self-harm, and there's a lot of demand for teachers' time and attention. Roberto has a disruptive disorder. He's very aggressive. He's been bullying a few students. He's been rude, disrespectful for you as a teacher and others, and he's been missing a lot of class. Joey is kind of the shy student who is very withdrawn. his dad actually died by suicide a few years ago. His grades are going down. He's been writing about suicide. So you really need to have a conversation with him to make sure that he seeks the help he needs. The first thing that you do before you go into the conversation is you're able to look at the profile of the student. These are really things that you can observe without even interacting with the student, things such as changes in academic, changes in their behavior or information about their behavior, community, which is kind of their social life, about how many friends they have, family life, maybe things that you have heard from the parent or from someone else in the school, as well as appearance, looking for changes in that appearance. So let me go into the conversation itself so you could see how it works. So we are now inside the conversation itself. You could see here the high school teacher that you're assuming the role that you play as well as Renee, who is the student that we looked a little bit at her profile before. So as you can see, Renee is what we call an emotionally responsive avatar. She has an emotion and memory, which really what it means is that every time you make a decision about what to tell her, you will impact her emotional state. And therefore, if you are very aggressive, if you're starting being judgmental, she will shut down. She may leave the room. On the other hand, if you use other tactics, more effective ones, such as being able to relate to her problem, not being judgmental, talking about things that you have observed instead of starting to talk about your opinion, she will much more likely to open up and be willing to have a discussion and seek help. So the way you navigate, the way you communicate with Renee is through this menu-driven options that you have here that will actually change every round and every time you click on it. So right now we're at the beginning of the conversation. You can either make some small talk or you can express concern. So under expressing concern, I have two options at this point. I can say, I'm concerned about you lately. You seem distressed, or you seem really nervous lately. So let's see what happens if I click on concern about you lately. You seem stressed.
I've been concerned about you lately. You seem a little stressed.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. Why?
Okay, so you can see her response to that. So now I have other options. I can talk about specific concerns. I can talk about concerns about about grades. I can talk about concern about the yearbook. We read before a little bit of behavior she has around that that's concerning. So around grades, for example, I have two options. I can say, you ask a lot of questions about the last exam, or you seem to freak out about getting a B on exam. Let me choose that one, and let's see what happens.
Well, the other day when you made a B on that exam, you really seemed to freak out about it.
No, I didn't. What are you talking about?
All right, so you can see her response, so obviously through her voice as well as body language. And there's a coach coming out here giving you a little bit of advice. In this case, says, Renee may deny being freaked out. Instead, focus on things you can observe in her behavior, such as how she asked a lot of questions or had a shaky voice. She's less likely to deny these and more likely to give you a straight answer. So we're giving you a little bit of feedback here about kind of tactics that you should really use that will work better for you in this conversation, which is really the overall goal of these specific practice role-playing, which is helping you understand effective and ineffective tactics that will work. So this was just one of them. So what I can do, which is kind of nice to do in a simulated environment, is I can click on this undo and literally go back in time as if I never said that. So let me do that. So there you go. She's happy again. And now I can try to do something else. But I still want to talk about a grade. But maybe instead of saying you seem to freak out, maybe I could just say you ask a lot of questions about last exam. Talk about something that I can observe that you cannot really deny. Let's see what happens.
Well, last week when you made a B on that exam, you asked a lot of questions about it, and your voice was shaking. I don't know, you seemed a little upset.
Yeah, I get upset when I mess up like that. It wasn't a hard test or anything. I just spaced out. I guess I didn't study enough, I don't know what my deal is. I tried to study.
So you can see here a completely different response from her. She is now much more willing to have a discussion on this, and I can continue to follow up on that and say, B isn't that bad, or I can say, you have straight A's, why worried so much, or I can discuss again an observation. You see more stress lately. Let's click on that. Let's see what happens.
Well, you've always cared about your grades, but it seems like you're just more stressed lately.
Well, I really want to go to Stanford. My sister Reese is there, and that's where my dad went to school. And if I don't get in and get a scholarship, and then there's band and yearbook and track and everything. So
you can see here that the conversation continued to unfold. I can now continue to use other tactics like praising her or reflecting, which is really reflective listening, for those of you who are familiar with motivational interviewing, and really get to the point to see whether she needs a referral, and if she does, get to the point in the conversation where I can bring it up. Each of these conversations is about 7 minutes long, which together with the rest of the content gets you to this 1 hour of experience. And there's a lot of feedback being provided to you. It's the introduction to this training, which I kind of skipped. You can see here the menu. There's discussions about signs of psychological distress and how to best identify them before you get to this actual practice component. So let me go back to the slide. I want to get back, Melanie, to you before we discuss the research.